Hey, sports fans, it's Eder with RunBlogRun, and this is Athletics Chat number 19. I had to count my fingers and toes this time. Sorry. Hi, Stuart. How are you?
What are you going to do next week? What are you going to do next week when we're past 20?
I'm going to have to take my shoes off and count on the toes.
Well, yeah, but I think after 20, you're struggling even with your shoes.
That'll be true. That'll be true. So you're in Oxford, England, the intellectual capital of the world. I'm in San Jose, California, which is the computer or software pretend capital. But anyway, it's the home of Steve Wozniak. So we like that. But greetings and salutations, kind sir. How are you?
Yeah, good. Yeah, we're just getting towards the end of the strangest season ever.
So true, so true. And we're going to start with some of the challenging and strange stuff. One of both your and my favorite people is Caster Semenya. No matter where you stand on her unfortunate, hellish situation, I think both of you and I agree that she has handled herself with class, with decorum, with a sense of humor. And you wanted to say a few things, so I'm going to be quiet for a second.
It's just that she's lost her appeal, and now if she's going to compete in the Olympics or anything in future, she has to take hormone blockers. And it's a very complex thing, but I think it is morally wrong of World Athletics to require someone to take medication for which there's no medical justification. And I also struggle a little bit with why testosterone levels are only an issue for females who run particular distances. What about throwers?
Yeah.
And if testosterone gives you an advantage, why are there not limits for men? So I just think that this whole thing has been badly handled by World Athletics, and I feel desperately sorry for Caster Semenya. I mean, when Usain Bolt was beating everybody, I'm sure there was some physiological characteristic that he had that others didn't have, and he should have been banned completely because he was too fast.
Yeah, he should have been banned because he was 6'4" or 6'6", which was about 6 inches more than.
I read a great quote, I can't remember who it was from, saying that the sport of basketball is discriminatory. It discriminates against small people.
Yes. Well, there's a wonderful piece by David Epstein, the gentleman who wrote the book Mortal Engines, I believe. Oh, no, he wrote the Gene of Sports, or the Sports Gene. And he writes for SI, and it was about a change in feeling about how much he respected Caster Semenya, but he also understood there needed to be some parameters. And I thought that was good. But I recall Caster being booed in 2009 in Berlin, and she had no clue what was going on. And then she was tested. They did all the test on her to see if she was female or not, which was pretty crappy. And the thing about it, even she realizes how complex an issue it is. I would have thought that here's what I think is going to happen, unfortunately. The African Union is going to put this a request in front of the United Nations to declare this, I believe, unethical or morally unsupportable.
Yeah.
And Sebco's going to have his hands really full. And the IOC is going to get involved, and it's going to be much more of a mess than if they just said, you know what, Caster, we're going to grandfather you in. You got 2 more years, and then we're going to do a big retirement party for you. The truth was, apparently before 2009, they had an athlete similar to Castor almost every year. And I was told by IAAF staff at the time that they would help provide the surgery for these athletes, help provide the medication, because a lot of them developed cancers that killed them. And they also provide them some compensation. It was sloppily done with Castor. We're the better for that because I think she's a tremendous athlete and has shown amazing things. She's not an East German sprinter or thrower. She wasn't given a bottle of chalks and told, hey, take these, or, we'll put your family in prison. It's a different situation. Do I feel bad for the Jenny Simpsons of the world and Laura Muirs? Yes, I do. But I also think that this is the kind of nuanced situation that federations and global federations just aren't good at. And it's just unfortunate. You wanted to talk about the United UK Athletics, our friends at British Athletics, and their review of their staffs, because boy, are they in financial trouble.
Yeah, I mean, I can understand the financial trouble, of course, with losing so much of their income. But some of the, I mean, basically, for people who don't know, they have announced a staffing review. They have currently 60 administrative staff, and they plan to reduce that by approximately 25%.
Okay.
And that includes all their event delivery staff and all their media staff.
Oh my gosh. The British Athletics has the best media group, I think, of any federation out there.
Yeah. But I just don't understand why British Athletics, or why Joe Coates, frankly, the new CEO, wants to decide that they are not going to have an anniversary games or the Birmingham Diamond League again. They're not going to have any events. I mean, he talks about putting athletes first, but I cannot think that any athletes want the anniversary games to end. One of the things that struck me watching some of the Continental series that I wouldn't normally watch this year was the one in Poland, the number of local athletes who ran a PR because they got into a fast race with world-class performers and they were dragged along. And this is such a great experience for the young, almost elite athlete. And this has happened, the number of British athletes who got a PR at the anniversary games is high. So what do? Let's stop it. And we're trying to get more profile for the sport. So why don't we take away the events at which Dina Asher-Smith, KJT, Laura Muir, etc. run in Britain? To me, that just doesn't make sense.
Well, I think there's several issues. One, hopefully Joe Coates is having conversations with the folks at Fast Track and the people who saved British Athletics back in the early 2000s by bringing in big sponsorships. Because since then, since Niels de Vos told Fast Track to go bye-bye, their sponsorship has dropped. It looks like the deal with Nike, while it had to go all the way to the European courts to be settled, there was a pre-existing deal with Adidas, and the Nike deal came about because Nike had a little extra money after ending a sponsorship with another group in the UK. And the truth is, the folks at British Athletics don't even know what deal they've got, because from the very beginning, it wasn't the money that Mr. DeVos and everybody told the crew. And I recall the first Diamond League after that happened that British athletes were cut down from 3 days in their hotel to one, even the top athletes. And there was rumors that, boy, this was a cluster. And it is. So I hope Joe gets out there. At the very least, she can call John Ridgen, and John can tell her who to give a couple phone calls to, because they sure need some help. British athletics media and USATF athletics media are probably two of the best groups out there.
Yeah.
I've always really enjoyed. My only beef with USATF is they don't send press releases out to us. We have to search the stuff down, and it's irritated Gene Cherry and I for 1,000 years. I just don't get that. British athletics goes out of their way. I'm an American, and in case no one believed it, and but I've gone to British athletics meetings for maybe 10, 15 years, and we get everything from them. And Stuart, as you know, you and I weren't able to go to things this year, and they get us lovely pictures, and they help us find quotes. And I'm sure if I sent a note to Jamie or one of them right now, they would help us in any way they could. And that Joe is thinking of letting them go breaks my heart, because the truth is, at least half of the goodwill that people feel about British athletics is because their media people get the word out everywhere. They are great on social media, and they tell stories about Laura and Katerina and everything all the time. It's just so sad that's going to happen. And I loved the interviews you did with Joe Coates a while back, and really thought she was making some good decisions. I shared your concern and consternation about Coach McGuire. Not that he wasn't a good man and that he'll do good things, but these are delicate positions that require much more than coaching. And that's part of the challenge.
I have absolutely nothing against Christian Malcolm, but as I understand it, he's never been a coach to an athlete. So you suddenly become the head coach, supervising other coaches, and you've never actually been a personal coach yourself. And also, a narrative seems to be growing up that he was the person who was responsible for the turning around the British relay, sprint relays, which have become medal winners at most championships now, men and women. But he was involved, but he was not in charge of the relays. Although again, I think that you could take that from his LinkedIn description. So there's a little bit of a narrative that he is the person who transformed the relays and has been brought back in again. And I have written, and you published it, that I think British athletics may come to regret losing Stephen Maguire, who was an unsuccessful candidate for the post, and who has an awful lot more experience. Nothing at all against Christian, but perhaps in 10 years' time he would have been a great successor when he's done more coaching and got more experience.
No, I agree. I think the story will require many more updates. I'm very, very concerned about how this will affect British athletics, which has been one of the top 3 stories of the decade in athletics. The resurgence of British athletics, I remember them in 2010 and remember them in 2012 and what's happened since then. And it seems that that some people don't recall where they've been and where they're at now. And I hope that Joe Coates has Alan Pascoe on speed dial, because I think she needs him right now. Yes, I'm an Alan Pascoe fan. I think the guy, besides being a great hurdler, was a brilliant businessman. And in my dealings with him and the crew he picked, and he picked some characters, Ridgen and Ian Stewart among them, and Cherry Alexander, but he had a great crew and a great manager, someone who hires people to do the stuff you can't do much better than you and lets them the hell alone. And I hope Joe Coates learns that. And again, if she doesn't have Mr. Pasco's number, I'll help her find it. Okay, Diamond League.
You mentioned,
Go ahead.
yeah,
I'm sorry.
go on.
I cut you off, and I got a little note from someone saying, "Hey, you cut Stuart off last week. He had something to say." So, my apologies, sir.
I just got to say that I think Terry Alexander, I understand, is also on the list of people who may be leaving.
Oh my gosh, I like Cherry a lot. She has
Absolutely
a ton of energy. She has improved the quality of the things that she's done on the job. She also seemed to really care, and it's a challenge out there. And boy, if a historian comes back and looks at what was the demise of British athletics, and they make the decision that it was the Athletics Cup being held, a week after the dang Diamond League, and how much they lost that year, that will be heartbreaking.
Yeah.
We had a meeting last Thursday, the Golden Gala, Pietro Minea, otherwise known as the Roman Diamond League. Talk to me.
Well, it's the first time I wasn't there since 2012.
Wow.
Which is sad, but it was a great meet. Some chap called Duplantis, I think is the name.
Yeah.
Did a bit of pole vaulting, and he may or may not have equaled the world record. Because this is this complicated one that he jumped the highest ever outdoor, but World Athletics apparently now says, well, indoor, outdoor for pole vaulting, it's all the same.
I'd like to thank World Athletics for confusing the living hell out of most sports fans. The altitude stuff's been a cluster for 30 years, and if I want to get Gary Hill's blood pressure up at Track and Field News, all I have to say is altitude. And Gary will totally lose it like most Canadians never do. But, those kind of nuances most sports fans don't care about. And I know I'm going to hear back an unloved note from Monaco, Larry, it's all about nuance. It's like baseball. No, it's not like baseball. Yes, I love the stats about track and field, but Mondo Duplantis is the world record holder indoor and out. But this is where I need to insert a quick story. Sergei Bubka, the man who had the world record outdoors for such a long time and indoors, is one of the most delightful people to ever have dinner with. And in 2011 at the European Indoors, I got to have dinner with him. And it was thanks to then head at Nike, John Capriati, and I believe the Mark Bossadet was there, and couple meet directors. But Cap wanted me to hear from Sergey about how he decided how to break world records. Because you remember, he broke 35 of them, 1 centimeter each. And Sergey told me that he made a deal with Steve Miller that his world record bonuses would only be based if he broke the world record by a centimeter. And being the budding young capitalist that he was in Soviet Union, he started breaking the world record by a centimeter each. And he did it 35 times. So I think that helped him with some of those gas stations he had in the Ukraine for a while. But Sergey has always been very classy, and there's a wonderful picture of him with Renaud Lavillenie after Renaud beat the record in Donetsk. And then Mondo is such a talent, but he's also, and you and I have talked about this, he's not the next Usain Bolt. He's Mondo Duplantis. And the beauty of Mondo and Jakob Ingebrigtsen and some of the other top, Shelby Houlihan in the U.S., is they all have their own personalities. And what we're starving for in this pandemic is human interaction. And Mondo really gets into it. I went back and looked at the little Instagram video after his kind of world record kind of not. And he went and gave a hug to his Daniel Westfelt, his manager, and then also his co-manager. And he's just a genuine young man, and I really like that about him. And I think the fans love that, and I think we need that right now. And you got the Sam Kendricks of the world, and the Piotr Lysics, and Raphael Holstappa. There's all kinds of characters in the pole vault. I think it's an event that just really screams at. So he was pretty darn good. So what else did you like from Rome?
Karsten Warholm won, but then I sound a bit like what we used to call a broken record for saying that, because he's been sort of winning all the time. And of course, I mean, it's a laugh to say that he ran 47:07, and people were disappointed with it.
Yeah.
Because because he'd run faster earlier in the year. But again, I mean, he just seems likes an outside lane, and he just goes for it. There's no question of pacing on himself on anyone else. He just goes for it. So, I mean, that was impressive. And a lady called Elaine Thompson, or Mrs. Hera, as she calls herself these days, won the 100 meters in 10:85. And
Yes.
the significance of that is it became the world lead by 100th of a second, beating a certain Mrs. Fraser-Price.
Yes. So Jamaica is 1-2, man, in the women's 100 meters again, you know?
Yeah, yeah.
You've interviewed Elaine a few times. What do you think of her?
Yeah, no, she's fine. She's engaging. I've interviewed Shelley more times, but yeah, no, Elaine. She was very honest about Rio when she would say that she surprised herself by winning both. And then, of course, she struggled with injuries. It was great that she's coming back. And the postponement of the Olympics means, of course, that Shelley will be a year older. But I would love to see them going at each other in Tokyo, both fully fit.
Yes, yeah, I agree too. Elaine, we would see, I recall, for several years in a row at the Birmingham Indoor, the Mueller Indoor GP.
Yes.
And she would run her only 60 indoor of the years, and boy, she'd always run fast. And she was one of the interviews British Athletics would select for us to have. And she's rather relaxed, but I kind of think that's that whole warrior thing around her. Because she is one of the most competitive athletes I've ever seen.
Talking about Birmingham Indoor, Shelley ran her first indoor event there, and she was asked about this, and she gave a great answer. She said, "I'm from Jamaica. Why would I want to run indoors?"
True. Especially those last few years when we had a bit of snow and a few other things there too. Now we've seen every Diamond League, well, the 4 Diamond League meets that they held this year. Everything else was pretty much canceled. We have Doha yet, and all the athletes are down there. What's your feeling about the Diamond League this year?
Well, it was terribly exciting when Stockholm happened, because they'd actually managed to pull it off when everyone else up to that point had cancelled. So I thought they did well. Monaco had some great races. You know, the Faith Kipyegon winning the 1,000 meters against Lauren Muir and others, when really one didn't think that a 1,500 runner would be the favourite for 1,000 meters. Stockholm, we had that was when Donovan Brazier was running every week and winning every week. And in Stockholm, they did a male and female pole vault side by side, and that was great. I mean, I saw that indoor in France, but I know that the vaulters love that, having the men and women competing together. And of course, I don't need to tell you the Duplantis won that.
Sure.
And I mean, I think Rome was good. Perhaps didn't quite have the same excitement as Monaco and Stockholm, but perhaps we were getting used to it by then. And it'll be interesting to see how good the fields are in Doha, given that quite a number of athletes have shut down for the winter.
Yeah. I'm curious about Doha too. I'm sad that I'm not there. I've last year I was there was in 17, and I missed the 18 and the 19 meetings, and I'll miss 20 now, and that's too bad because it's always a fun meeting.
I've been the last three, so it's yeah. I mean, it's a strange place, but they do events well.
Yeah, they do. They do. We're going to take a second and explain to our young viewers the name of the Rome meet, the Golden Gala of Pietro Manea. Pietro was the Italian record holder at the 100 and the 200. He was also an Olympic medalist. And in the 70s, and he had the reputation for being one of the most amazing turn runners in the 200. You had him and Quarry, Donald Quarry, and a few of the others. But Pietro transcended all that. He set a short-lived world record, I believe, in Mexico City one year at altitude, actually European record. And he was also in the Italian parliament for a while, passed away a few years ago. And when my first time at that meet was, I believe, in 2010, and I was struck by the Olympic grandeur of the stadium. And the warm-up track is, Stuart, we put a picture up of Gemma Ricci running there, is absolutely glorious with all the statues and everything. Yeah. It's pretty darn cool. What was, in your mind, the best non-Diamond League meet in 2020?
There were several great ones. I mean, I love the Arena Savinska and the Istaf in Berlin was good.
Sure. Yeah, I know. I think they were both wonderful. It was nice to see the Polish Federation put some power into the Arena Savinska, because Irina was the only woman to have world records of the 100, 200, and 400. But also, after she retired from athletics, she fought long and hard for women's opportunities in the sport. She was involved in Tokyo 2020 final things up until months before she passed away. So it's kind of cool to see that. And I really want to spend a month in Poland and just go from track meet to track meet. Marcin Lewandowski's tried to talk me into it, and I think I'm going to take them up on it. UK athletics in crisis again. I think we've covered that. It's just sad because it really didn't have to be, but there have been some challenging decisions. Did you ever interview Niels de Vos?
I never interviewed him. I mean, I talked to him a little bit. I last talked to him at the IPC World Championships in Dubai last November.
What was your take?
I found him friendly. I had a specific thing I want to ask him about the next World Championships, and he was open, and we talked, and he replied when I emailed him. So yeah, I didn't really know him. I met him really during World Championship 2017 when he was, I think, may have been the CEO of the event or something. Terry Alexander ran it, but he had some role there. Yeah, I can't really judge his time at UKA.
Yeah.
I mean, he's blamed for the financial loss in the World Cup event, but I don't know enough of the background to know how fair that is.
Sure. Yeah. No. That's what I wonder too. Sometimes I am frustrated by his decision about his relationship, ending the relationship with Fast Track, which now in hindsight looks have been
Yeah.
perhaps a move that should have been reconsidered at the very least. Okay, we're down to, you've survived now 34 minutes. 2022. I tend to think that we've got another year of this. It will have some good things and some tough things. You guys are talking about your second, stage of the pandemic. Hell, we're not through our first yet. No one knows if we're coming or going. And, there's, a big motorcycle group in the Dakotas got together, and there's a ton of people there who've now gotten sick with COVID. So I guess it does exist. And then on Friday evening after 5 p.m., the director of athletics at Nike, John Capriotti, who had been there since 1997, it was announced that he was leaving Nike. I don't believe he's left yet. There's a couple good pieces by Ken Goa of the Oregonian up. I suggest you read them. There's also a lot of pot shots at him, and I'm not in a position to say what's good or what's bad. I think that right now in our sport, without Nike and without Adidas and without Puma and the other 49 footwear companies, we wouldn't have a sport, because for whatever reasons, Nike and Adidas, Puma and Saucony and others have looked past a lot of our sport's foibles and believe the sport has a lot of good things. And I knew John Capriotti since we were in college. He was at San Luis Obispo and I was at Santa Clara, and we had a couple classmates that we both knew. And I knew his coach, Steve Miller. All in all, I think Nike has put more into the sport than anybody but Adidas. And whether it's good, whether it's bad, I think I'll let some people forensically say that. But I do think that John will be missed, his enthusiasm, and that people are questioning whether Nike's going to stay involved in the sport. I've seen charismatic leaders of sports marketing at Nike leave before. And when a new person comes in, they change things. Doesn't mean they get out of the sport. Nike hasn't. And there's no way with $100+ million they spent on Hayward Field and what they spent at the University of Oregon and where the World Championships are coming and the Prefontaine meet, that they're going to get out of it. But there will be changes. There's changes when any tenure changes. So we wish John Capriotti the best. We thank all the brands for their support, because without it, we wouldn't be around either. But there is always time for reflection and contemplation about what you did well and what you didn't do well. And the way that I try to live my life is I try to learn from my mistakes and try not to repeat them. I try to make new mistakes. So hopefully brands will do that. So, and then we've got pandemic news. Anything new in your neck of the woods, my friend?
Well, we are expecting announcements of further shutdowns and restrictions on us, because at the moment the numbers are going in the wrong direction.
Yeah. You think you're going to be stuck in the house for a while longer?
I think so.
Okay. Well, I was trying to find a way, hope against hope, to get over to London for the marathon, just because I wanted to see them run 20 laps of St. James Park. And but I don't think that unless I can get that Hungarian passport, and that's normally takes a little while, that I don't think that's going to happen. So I'll be watching it like you from the intimacy of a television, listening to.
Yeah, well, I mean, I'm an hour and a half away, and I'm not going.
Yeah. So it's going to be kind of interesting, but
Yeah.
We have had another week of athletics chat. We're at now number. Is this nine? No, this is 19. Yeah. Okay.
Yes.
So next week I got to take my shoes off, Stuart. So what I'll do is I think I'm going to get some popsicle sticks, put them on the ground, and number them 21 to 30 because that'll help a little bit. But stay safe, my friend. I hope you enjoy your golf game with your son, and thank you again for taking the time. It's 9:30 in your neck of the woods, and you should be watching at least something good on BBC. You know. So have a great evening, and Stuart, thank you again. All right, this is Larry Eder with RunBlogRun. It's athletics chat number 19. Stuart's in Oxford, England, and I'm in San Jose, California. Thanks to Mike Deering for producing. And remember, like us on social media, Twitter, Facebook, Instagram, and subscribe on YouTube. You love us. I know you love us. All right, talk to you soon. Stay safe. Hey, sports fans, Larry Eder, RunBlogRun. Not Run Dog Run, but RunBlogRun. And it's Athletics Chat 19. After next week, I have to use my toes, so just so you know. So the whole deal with Athletics Chat is Stuart Weir, thoughtful European senior writer for us, based in Oxford, England, the intellectual capital of the world. Larry Eder, based in San Jose, California, the land that gave us Steve Wozniak and Steve Jobs. Steve Wozniak used to ride a little motorcycle, a little Vespa actually, alongside me and my buddy Paul Giray when we did our 20-milers on Sundays. He was one of my coach's neighbors up in the Santa Cruz Mountains. Gave my coach his first, I think, llama, tortoise, pygmy goat, many other barnyard creatures. Anyway, it was a great place to run, and it was a lovely time. It was the 70s and the 80s. Got to dig them. Okay, so our topics today, Caster Semenya. So Stuart and I believe this. Caster Semenya always has been a class act. Loved the sport. Was totally screwed by the sport. Our friend Stuart believes it may be unethical what World Athletics has done. They may have legal things to do it, but it just seems kind of tacky. I think they should have grandfathered her in, let her compete for a couple more years and do a big retirement party. Do I think we need a difference between, I guess they call them cisgender athletes who are born women and athletes who have a DDS extra hormones? I think that's open for negotiation. I think I will refer you to David Epstein's column this last week. David wrote The Sports Gene. He's a very fine writer, much more educated in this area than I am. He, Ross Tucker from the Science of Sport, can put it in a good perspective. But the bottom line is, I think the African Union is going to put this in front of the United Nations, and World Athletics is going to look like a monster. And I sure hope that someone advising Lord Coe reminds him that how our sport's perceived is really important, and find a way to do a special extra dispensation for Caster. There, I've said it. So next thing, British athletics is just in a shitstorm. They're losing money. Rumors are they may have to give it a Diamond League. I think that sounds silly. The Athletic Cup was what totally screwed them over. They were told not to do it. They did it. They did it without listening to people who knew how to book rooms and all those kind of things. Ended up spending about $1.5 million after. And they did it a week after the Diamond League. So how do you cluster F it so much that you mess up one of the Diamond League meets, has compromised one of the Diamond League meets, where some of your money's coming from, where maybe a third of your money's coming from, and now you got to do all these other things. What really infuriated me today is when Stuart said they may have to get rid of the British athletics media staff. The three best staffs, World Athletics, for the Global Federation, they do a great job. But USATF and British Athletics operate totally differently, and infuriates me still that British Athletics or that US Athletics cannot send me press releases and other writers that too, because I get 200 of them a day, and my job is insane, and I want to cover USA more, but guess what? I don't get access to a lot of it. But British Athletics puts it in front of our hands, gets us great pictures, gets us access to athletes, all of that. And that's what the federation should do. And I just hope Joe Coates does a couple things. One, please keep your British Athletics media group. They're great people, really good people who love the sport. At the very least, bring them on as contractors. Take care of them. Two, speed dial. Get on speed dial, Alan Pascoe. You need his help. He saved British Athletics from being destitute before and the sport being a laughingstock to bring it to prominence. And then, but he gets screwed. And that's what happened. He totally got screwed. Yeah, I'm an Alan Pascoe fan. I just think he's a good guy. Ridgen, him, Stuart, they're all characters. But God, do they love the sport. And, you know, you add on Bedford, you add on a few of the others, Jonesy and a few of these other guys, they've done really good things for the sport of athletics in the UK. And they don't get the respect they deserve, and that just irritates the crap out of me. There, I've said it. Okay, my therapist will be happy now. Diamond League 2020. You know what? Diamond League really irritates me sometimes. But I think there's events like Ostrava that should be part of it, and it's not because of politics. But as the Greek philosopher said, there's politics in a love relationship. So, but Diamond League did good things this year. They showed why they were needed, and Rome was a fantastic meet. Monaco, my gosh, I just can never say enough about Monaco. Stockholm, really good stuff too. Lausanne, you did a nice job. In Zurich, you did a nice job. And I miss harassing Tom Jordan, you know, sending him questions, getting called Boswell, you know. Oh, and then getting, you know, organic breakfast burritos in Eugene, Oregon, a capital of hippiedom, where I will buy my next Volkswagen bus. Best non-DL meets, Ostrava was really, really good. Istaf, I got to go to Istaf. Those guys, the crew there, whoever does Istaf, I love, and they do a great job. Excellent meet. UK Athletic Crisis, we've said enough about that. Where's Neil DeVos? He's at Tracktown, USA, handling the World Champs in 2022. Hey, World Champs, are you guys alive? We haven't heard any PR crap from you guys, in almost a year? Little suggestion, just a little note once a week. Start building up stuff. Don't wait till a month out. That's horsepucky. And I'm sorry you don't know what's going to happen in 2022. Start building up the interest. This is a great opportunity. I mean, we saw the end times this year. USATF didn't even do an outdoor championships. And while I understand it, I don't understand why they're not sending someone to the World Half Marathon Championships. That's horse crap. They've sent Americans over to Europe already. They didn't die. You know, they had to be careful. But you guys can do that. You're big boys. You got $40 million. Okay. Boy, I tell you, I think maybe I've had too many cups of coffee today. John Capriati. You know, I should really recuse myself from this. I've known Cap for a long, long time. I've seen the good he's done for the sport, which far outweighs any of the stuff people are saying negative about him. I know he's got a good heart and he's got a Italian temper, and but he really loved what he did. And he was the what would you call it? The philosopher, the ambassador for the brand Nike. But there's a line attributed to Phil Knight about 30 years ago when he was letting one of John Capriati's predecessors go in sports marketing. He said, "You don't own the sport. The sport owns the sport, and you're using Nike money." And Nike, Adidas, Puma had been there for a long, long time. Before Nike, it was Adidas and Puma. I met Horst Dassler. The man revolutionized sports marketing, and he brought in guys like John Bolton, Roberto Mueller, people who changed the way sports marketing was done, for better and for worse. I'm not saying it's all a perfect story, but this is where business and sports coalesces. And without Nike, without Adidas, without Puma, without Saucony, without Under Armour, without Asics, Onitsuka, which I remember, we wouldn't have much of a sport, because those people all loved what they do and what they did, and they looked over many of the weaknesses of the sport, both good and bad. We have the ability to make this sport great, and it's all within the sport, but we've got to clean up some stuff. The Lamine Diack era, many of us knew that there was stuff going on. We didn't know the level of depravity. And that depravity has to stop. And stop telling me, well, it's tiny compared to FIFA. That's a load of crap. FIFA can be as dirty as they want. It's not athletics. All right? This is a sport we love. Running, jumping, and throwing. Think about the value of the meets this year. Think about watching Jakob Ingebrigtsen, watching Joshua Cheptegei, watching Mondo Duplantis and his enthusiasm and just excitement, unbridled excitement at jumping high. And think of what class Sergei Bubka showed in responding to Mondo. As well as Villeneuve, when Villeneuve did something indoors. In world athletics, do a world indoor record for the pole vault and an outdoor. Just, you're confusing people. I love world athletics, but you know what? Every once in a while, a friend's got to tell a friend when they've kind of screwed the pooch. And this whole idea of, well, the indoor world record is really the blah, 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 blah. No. Indoor record, outdoor record. Okay? Keep it fun. Keep it simple. Let Mondo have 2 records. Okay? 6:15 is pretty damn high. Higher than most of the bridges around here. Okay? Anyway, my God, I've got to get some Pete's coffee. Okay. Finishing up with Capriati. I wish Cap the best. He's got a lovely family, great kids, wife who loves him. Those are the important things. And like people that preceded him, they'll actually have lives after this. What's interesting, though, is I remember one of his predecessors telling me that when he left the job, no one returned his phone calls. Real friends return phone calls no matter what job you have. So if you've got a buddy who you haven't talked to in a while, give him a call. You know what? Tell them you appreciated the things they did. And tell them you miss them. That's an important thing. That's what we're learning from the pandemic. Have some common decency, people. Ken Go's articles on Cap were pretty good. And Ken tends to stay on the more conservative side of the politics stuff. He's got an interesting dance to walk. He doesn't want to piss off Nike. He doesn't want to get, bags of poop thrown at him in Portland or Beaverton or Lake Oswego. Jonathan Galt did a piece, and it was really just a rehashing of everything out there. And the truth is, Let's Run is a fine athletic site, but every once in a while, when they can't find their own information, they just rehash stuff, and it's just crap. We don't need that. Elevate yourself. If you have something you believe in, then say it. If you don't, don't. Tom Weir, the philosopher, mathematician, used to teach theory of music and math down at UC Santa Cruz, and did some great political songs, said if you can't communicate, then just shut up. And I wish sometimes people would do that. Anyway, I've been talking a lot today. I've had 2 cups of Pete's coffee, just so you know. No drugs involved. And I'm sitting in my backyard. After 26 days in San Jose with too much smoke, I can do that and not hack like I'm a lifelong smoker. I smoked for 1 month in 19 70 Camel Unfiltereds that I bummed off a construction worker in my neighborhood. That's the only time I've ever smoked. Well, except when I would drink too much, but Eric and Alan can tell you about that. Okay, this has been a great day. It was really fun talking with Stuart. It was fun harassing Mike Deering, too. He's our producer. Thank you so much for everything. I really enjoy our conversations, and when he was away for a week, I missed him. And Mike, you and I talk about every other day or every day, and you try to keep me in line and manage my chatting, so thank you very much. This is Larry Eder, RunBlogRun. This is Athletics Chat number 19, final bit of pleading. If you like us, really like us, like Sally Field, the Oscar winner, said, look it up on Google. Twitter, Facebook, Instagram, or social media. Welcome to this world. Zuckerberg is not a publisher. He's just a bonehead capitalist. Anyway, like us on Twitter, Facebook, Instagram, but subscribe on YouTube. We've got really awesome video. And if you haven't seen the cult classics on Cav McKenzie, you have missed out. Just get a nice cold Negro Modelo or, whatever other beer, maybe an IPA, a Lagunitas. See, I'm showing my West Coast persuasion. Or a Spaten Oktoberfest, because it's the time. Drink it, watch our YouTube, enjoy. Okay, stay safe, wear a mask if you're indoors. For God's sakes, wear a mask. Even if you're going to a Trump rally, just don't be stupid. I don't want you sick. I don't have any problem, who people vote for. I wish you'd vote for the guy that I was, but it's not a hate thing. Anyway, the deal is this. Stay safe. We're in a pandemic. If you're indoors, wear a mask. If you're outdoors and can't be 6 feet away, and actually Dr. Fauci just said, hey, it's more than 6 feet. So if you're around people, wear a mask. Stay safe. Okay? You don't want to pass it on to somebody. You don't want to get it. The real patriotism is stay safe. Have some humanity. Larry Eder signing off. Talk to you soon. Thank you.